Hi, this is Mitch Mitchell of TT Mitchell Consulting. Today is Father's Day, and I hope those of you who are fathers are having a wonderful day with your family. And those of you who don't have fathers or don't have fathers anymore, I hope that the day brings you peace as well. My dad passed away 12 years ago on Father's Day at 4:45 p.m. So every year around this time, I kind of have a little odd feeling, and of course the date is actually tomorrow, June 16th. That was the day he passed, so I get kind of 2 days in a row. But I wanted to do this video, one, because it's 15 days in a row doing videos on the business channel, but also because I wanted to talk about something that I got from my dad that I never really thought about, but this is pretty much how my life has gone. I was a military kid. I've mentioned that many times, and we traveled to many different places. And I've had some experiences that a lot of other people haven't had. I lived in a foreign country for 3 years. I actually knew Japanese at one point. Don't know it anymore, but I knew Japanese. I met people from all kinds of countries who spoke all kinds of different languages. I lived in a ghetto for a year. When my dad went to Vietnam, we lived with my grandmother in Kansas City for a year, and it was a ghetto. It was really poor area. Kids wanted to beat me up all the time because I was different. We were all black, but trust me, they knew I was different. And I learned some things back then, and it was tough initially, but even at that time, when the majority wanted to beat me up, I still had some friends. And by the time I left, I had a lot of friends. Most of the people who had hated me before kind of liked me for whatever reason, I don't know. I lived in northern Maine for 4.5 years, and even though a lot of the people there, I lived on an air base, we would go off base, and people there treated me well. When I first moved to Liverpool, New York, which is where I live now, and I went to a school of 3,800 kids, there were maybe 50 black kids in the school at the time, very few. And yet I got along fairly well, and I went to college, State University of New York at Oswego, almost no minorities there. And so I've been to that extreme, and then I've been to the other extreme. A couple of places I've consulted have been mainly black people. Where I am now, the city is 67% black. And I have found that I can get along with anybody. It doesn't matter what the race is. I never have had a single problem with any gay people. I didn't even know such a thing existed until I got to college, believe it or not. And the first time where a guy said he was gay, I said, okay, so you're happy? He said, no, that's not what I mean. And so he explained it, and I thought about it a little bit. And of course, I'd never encountered it, and I thought, okay, well, that's a little different. But I didn't treat that person any different. That person didn't treat me any different. I never thought about it again. I've never thought about things like that. Obviously, when you go to college, you meet a lot of drunk people, or a lot of people get drunk all the time. And I hate that process where they get drunk and they throw up and get stupid and whatever, and I don't like that. But the next day, most of them are just fine. You can talk to people. I don't like drugs. I've never taken a drug. I actually never had a drink. And, you don't necessarily cater to that kind of thing. And yet, I've had some interesting conversations with people who have done these things, and there's no big deal. Something that we didn't deal with when I was a kid was a lot of people with tattoos. I mean, military men might have had something on their shoulder here and there. My dad didn't have any tattoos. Matter of fact, I still don't know if any of my relatives have tattoos. I'm sure some of them do. But, I never really thought much about it. And it wasn't until my senior year where this young lady came up who was from New York City area, and she had tattoos all over, and she had this weird makeup, and they used to call her the cat lady. And I used to think, well, wow, that's a bit extreme. But because of my roommate Bob, who happened to meet her, I got to meet her, and there was nothing different about her. She just dressed a little bit differently. She was way ahead of the times. Everyone else seemed to have caught up with her. And just the other night, I went to an art show in the city, and half the people there were tattooed all over with the hairstyles and such, and it was just nothing. It means nothing. I think that there is this thing where we, as a society, and I mean the world society, have to get past I'm this and everyone else has to be like me. No, we don't. We don't have to be like each other at all. We need to honor each other. We need to give everyone the opportunity to live as they want to live, as long as they're not hurting anyone else. If they're hurting children, no, we can't have that. If they're shooting up neighborhoods, no, we can't have that. But, you know, if they decide they want to go home and they're going to drink or they're going to do their drug and whatever, okay, you know, you don't want people hurting themselves, but that's their choice. If it's brought outside, that's a different story. You know, no one wants that kind of thing happening. And, you know, I don't think that that's really a big deal. But you know what? If someone wants to have a gay relationship and they're out and they're holding hands, big deal. Who cares? Really? Who cares if it's a black woman and a white man, or a black man and a white woman, or an Asian or Indian or whatever? Who cares? Why does this bother you? You know, I really don't understand this. A guy who I used to respect a lot more, but not so much anymore, a guy named Cornel West, in his first book, which was called Race Matters, stated this thing where he said that the problems with people and race is actually always about sexuality. And on the surface of it, it sounds kind of extreme until you really think about it. What are the first things that you hear when you see people who are mixed or people who are homosexual getting together? Oh my God, they're going to be sleeping together in bed and doing all these things, and they're going to bring these weird shit. Really? That's what it comes down to? So it's not the fact that you have just two gay people who might decide that they love each other. It's not two gay people who decide that they want to go shopping together or whatever. They want to hold hands, whatever. Your immediate thought is what they're doing in bed. Really? Is that what we are all reduced to? Well, for people who hate whatever, yeah. What is this mess about the sanctity of marriage? They're worried about gay people getting in bed together and having sex. Oh my goodness, the world has just died. You need to stop. We need to break down the barriers of race. We need to break down the barriers of class. Yes, I want to be rich. That is no secret. I want to be rich. I want to have $10 million sitting in the bank one day so that I don't have any worries whatsoever. And that may sound like, well, that's a bit extreme, $10 million. We all need to have a goal. That's mine. Will I get there? I don't know, but I'm certainly going to try. But here's the thing. Whether I get rich or not does not mean that if I encounter someone on the street who I know isn't rich and they talk to me, then I'm not going to talk to them and treat them with respect. I mean, people deserve respect until they don't deserve it. This is just my take on things. But this is the thing my dad taught me, even though he didn't tell me. I saw him do the exact same thing. My dad could talk to anybody. My dad was a master sergeant. He could talk to the young guys who were first getting in. He could talk to oh my God, officers. My dad could talk to people in the community, whether they were poor or rich or whatever. My dad traveled around the world when he worked for Xerox and met all kinds of people, won all kinds of awards. Some of those people were really rich. Some of those people were, you know, at a working status, I'm putting it that way, lower than his. He didn't care. And I don't care. And it's strange sometimes because people want to put something on you that's their problem. There are some people who say, well, everybody's prejudiced. Well, everyone's a racist. Well, everyone's bigoted. No, not buying that mess. No, just not going to happen. Everyone isn't. Everyone doesn't have to be. Sure, there are things that we don't like, but usually there's things that we don't like that are things that certain people do. We don't like serial killers. No, I don't know anyone likes a serial killer. Does that make me bigoted against serial killers? I think that's a bit extreme, so no. We don't like pedophiles. We don't like anyone who hurts children. Does that make me bigoted against pedophiles? No, that's illogical. So I think that if you're ready to put something on someone else, you need to look inside yourself and think about what your issues are. I have no issues. I really have no issues with people in general. I have issues with people who seem to be extreme on something that hurts others or blocks others or stuff like that. That's fine. But I have no racism issues. I have no prejudice. I have no bigotry, none of that. I may be upset if, well, I'm hearing about, you know, the terrorists in Iraq looking to take over Baghdad. Really, I don't care. Unless they get there and suddenly they're starting to put things down on women, they're indiscriminately killing some, you know, people and doing whatever, then yeah, you're going to be mad at that. You're mad about hearing about these bands of people in India who are raping women, and some of their politicians seem to be supporting it. Yeah, you hate that kind of thing. But it doesn't mean you go out hating Indians or Pakistanis or Afghanis. You hate policies. You don't hate people. When people do bad things, you hate that. You hate those people for doing the bad things. That's my opinion. Now, let me know what you think. This is Father's Day. Are you willing to, if you've got some of these thoughts in your mind, are you willing to think about them and try to come to this reasoning as to why you think like that? And are you willing to try to get beyond that? You know, Rodney King said, can't we all get along? And I think it's a proper statement. Can't we all get along? Hey, I'll get along with you if you'll get along with me. Mitch Mitchell, TT Mitchell Consulting. I hope you have a wonderful Father's Day.